Welcome to the Chattervast podcast. I'm your host, Chad. Thanks for joining me for this first episode. And today we'll be looking at a few things that I found on the internet, things that interest me. I thought, of course, to start with some news. Trump is always in the news, and to him, no news is bad news. So let's start off with the presidential debate, which of course took place a week ago. And we just had the vice presidential debate last night, which, in my opinion, it's just drama, it's entertainment. That's American television. Reality TV is what it is nowadays. And even all the news articles that I read the next day tell me the same story, that there really isn't anything gained by listening to these. You just have anger, fighting, and what I think would really help show the American people that it isn't about drama would be turning off somebody else's mic when it's not their time to talk. It doesn't matter which side you're on. If you're in college or in high school and you were on a debate team, you are not allowed to do that. There's a very set amount of time that you have to give an opening and closing statement, rebuttals, and things like that. There is time for that in a debate. And obviously, the way that it is in American politics, it's a game. It's not really about actually debating and having counterpoints and trying to conclude and understand something or your opponent better. So now it's just come out in the news that President Trump has decided that he won't take part in a virtual event, which I think is a good idea for him and for everyone else. I don't think this would go very well, even though you could probably have a little more ability to mute people, which I think would be a helpful thing. But in the end, it really is better for people to interact. And I think that postponing any debates, if they should have any more, until that happens, that would be a good idea. Now, one other thing that was very interesting in the news, obviously President Trump got COVID over the weekend, and how that plays into the election as far as the timing is very interesting, because that takes away the ability for the opponent, in this case the Democratic candidates or anybody in that party, to say that Trump has COVID right before the election day. And obviously, if somebody you were going to vote for was declared to have COVID, with the fear around the pandemic right now, that wouldn't be any good for your candidate, because you never know if they're going to make it through. So at least he has that now. I'm not sure I've heard anything about Kamala Harris or Biden having any extensive COVID testing or having been around people who have it. So we'll have to see if, when it comes time for the election and people voting, whether or not there'll be some allegations of somebody having COVID or contracting it just before it to skew the results. So we'll see how that goes. So I thought that would be an interesting start, was just some of the news there, which everybody has kind of heard about those things at this point. Another interesting bank experience that I've heard about recently is Yotta Bank. And if you haven't heard of this, it's gamifying the banking experience. And you're going to see the term gamifying coming out a lot with many of the just normal things that we have to do. Gamifying is the idea that you're trying to make something more fun. You make it more like a game. And what Yotta Bank is doing, kind of like the old banks back in the day, they would give you a toaster or something like that. Well, the UK government opened a bank that they have a lottery attached to it. And for the money that you have, so much money that you have invested in their bank, you get tickets that get chosen in lottery numbers, and you win prizes every week. And I believe it's about a third of the population in the UK has money invested in this bank. And of course, who wouldn't? It's fun. It's a great experience. And I think what they're trying to do here is a really good idea. I think it is helpful, because a lot of people don't save money. America is all about spending it, which obviously drives your economy. It's good that people do spend money, but at the same time, they really need to be saving. When we hit the coronavirus earlier this year with the pandemic, and you saw there were people that were really struggling. I was watching some YouTube videos recently of a man who lives in his van, and he had chosen to do this prior to the virus coming. And he is complaining about all the other people who are making a bad name for him, who are now having to live in their cars because they're down on their luck. They lost their jobs or whatever. They don't have savings, and they're kind of making a bad name for him. So he's getting kicked out of areas where he used to park his van and stuff. So I think it has some interesting implications there. But as far as saving, I think that's a really important thing that everybody needs to be doing. There are a lot of great programs out there. If you can get into one of the courses like Dave Ramsey or something like that, just be saving money is important. And what Yotta Bank, the gist here is that for every $25, you get a lottery ticket. and you get to pick numbers every week, and you can automate the process so it picks out numbers, because obviously if you're going to be saving money, you're going to be saving more than $25, and you get tickets and then you win prizes. The interest rate on this bank is really low, but they say that with the amount of prizes that you get in average, it averages out to equal more than what normal saving rates are, which I can't say what normal saving rates are right now, because even my banks have gone down considerably since the pandemic and the Fed's messing with interest rates and things like that. But going into this a little bit more, it's FDIC insured up to $250,000, just like a regular bank. You pick your bank, you deposit $25 and you get a ticket, and basically we'll go scroll down here. But anyways, it explains the process. You just pick your numbers. You have weekly draws. You can win up to $10 million. That's the big prize. And you also, there's a Tesla somewhere in there. If you match so many of the balls, the numbers, the last day of the week is Sunday, and that would be your Yotta ball. And if you match that ball with several of the other balls, then you can win a Tesla or up to $10 million. And if you win the $10 million, say, for instance, and other people also have the matching numbers, that pool of money actually gets split among all the people who picked those numbers that week. The likelihood of you winning any of this stuff is pretty low. I have already heard of a lot of people who have been putting their money in this bank, and they do win prizes. You're pretty much guaranteed to win some change here throughout the week, because the likelihood of you hitting some number, it's still pretty high, but matching numbers is pretty low. So I'd say give it a shot. If you'd like to sign up with Yotta, you can download the app. The link is in the description. And if you sign up with my link or my referral code Chattervast, Chattervast, and you put in $25, you'll get 100 free tickets for your first week, just to help you out. And I'll put a link in the description, and just letting you know about that. So going on to a sponsor, and I'm self-sponsoring at this point in my show, is Hang Up and Ride the t-shirt. If you're ever biking or jogging or running or doing something outside, especially biking or riding in the car, you have that friend that just cannot be enjoying the experience. They have to be on their cell phone. And you need to just tell them with this t-shirt that this is not a business meeting. You're out here to bike. You're out here to ride. We're out here to have fun and experience life together. Put the phone away, hang up and ride, and enjoy the day. So if you'd like to get this t-shirt or send it to your buddy who's always on the phone, you can check out the link in the description. It's teespring.com/hang up and ride, all dashes between there. I'll put the link in the description. Any purchases from that will go to me. And anything in this show that I talk about that is referral codes or products that are sponsoring me, all of the proceeds that I get from any of this will go back towards obviously purchasing a better microphone or camera or things like that. And I appreciate your support. So moving on to another interesting thing that I've been following for a little while. If you haven't heard of this, I'm sure something will spark in your memory if you've kept up with the news, on Reddit, which is kind of a forum on the internet, as they call themselves, the front page of the internet. There's all kinds of interesting things that come across there. And if you spend enough time on the internet, you'll find plenty of interesting things to read and look at. And one subreddit, as they call it, is called Wallstreetbets. And this is a very interesting place to be. The basics of it are a bunch of people who come and gamble away their money. They turn the stocks and day trading and the entire Wall Street into their personal casino by buying puts and calls against prices as they see them, that they might go up and down. And of course, this year, the Federal Reserves destroyed Wallstreetbets by undoing what everybody thought was coming. We all thought that a bear market was coming. We thought it wasn't going to go in a good economic way. But the Feds learned that they have an infinite money machine, and they can just print money. And so with that, the pandemic and the economic turmoil that was about to come just put aside. And of course, when you have a president who wants to remain president for another 4 years, things like that are bound to happen. And I do not think that's a great idea to be printing money, because it generally doesn't pan out to be a good idea in history. So going back to Wallstreetbets, I think this is a really interesting place to be, because you learn about, if you get past all of the tomfoolery and the ridiculousness that some of these people are showing, their extreme losses and large amounts of debts that they take on to post in stocks. It is very interesting that the viewpoint that a lot of these people have, which is not something I hold to, that there's just money isn't completely real. And now, to some degree, if you can print money, it does kind of devalue it and shows how pointless it is to have in some degree. But they play by a whole nother game there and just take large amounts of debt and push it against options and calls. And what an option or options are saying that the market is going down or up in one way or another. And any time you're saying you're buying a stock for a certain price and you're guaranteeing that price, anytime it goes up or down past what you've said, you make more money. And they play a risky game, but it is an interesting place to be. It shows you a whole nother side of Wall Street, and not a side that most people like to get involved in, and not a side that Wall Street or people who want to control things are interested in. It also kind of reminds me of cryptocurrency. If you ever were into that, it was fake money, digital money, and they are kind of showing on Wallstreetbets how real money is almost the same in a way. By actually, in several of the apps that they used, Robinhood being one, which is kind of a risky app. It doesn't always work properly, but it's easy to get into, and there are no fees to trade on Robinhood. And that's their app of choice to trade on because they can quickly get in and get out. They can actually create funds out of thin air by using leverage. And nowadays, a lot of the loopholes there are taken care of. The apps have closed those up, but still these people persist, and they will continue to find whatever loopholes they can to print free money out of this stock market. So going on to something else you may have heard recently, just covering this briefly, I thought it was interesting, is life on Venus. Scientists had found phosphine, which is a signature of life, and they are ever in the hopes of finding aliens on another planet. But in this case, I've done enough research to say it ain't so. You're not going to find it here. It's very unlikely that you will be able to detect phosphine and just find life. There are so many other things that come into what makes life what it is. You can't just have one or two elements to show that life. Of course, the news, as you can see here, potential marker of life. That is what they want to say. Want to get everybody's hopes up, but it isn't so. Venus is a very dangerous place. You don't ever want to go there. Going on to something else that I found interesting over the past few weeks is Among Us. If you play any video games or know somebody who plays, you've probably heard this one come up recently. It's been very popular. They were actually a small production team that was going to work on a second version of this, but the response to it was overwhelming, and they had to continue work on improving their initial game. The basics of this is, if you've ever played the game Mafia in real life, it's kind of like that, and you turned it into a video game. You're given a role, either a general citizen of a space station that you're supposed to be managing. You have tasks that you have to take care of, while there are two imposters who are trying to down the ship and kill everybody on board. So it's a very intense game, especially if you're running through the halls trying to fix wiring or make sure the ship stays on course, or you're out there trying to hide and get rid of everybody else. I think it was a very interesting game. I played it a few times. It's especially it's a better game if you can have friends that you play in real time with, that you're either talking to or you're playing in the same room. It's a lot more fun from what I've seen doing that. But anyways, it's still a lot of fun. You should check it out if you are into those things. So that'll bring us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to Chattervast. Last thing I wanted to close on is if you'd like any Chattervast apparel, you can go to teespring.com/stores/Chattervast. I'll put the link in the description. Of course, this proceeds will go to help the show and the production of it. And we have t-shirts and hoodies and a mug, which at some point I'll have one of those on the show. And that's just a way to support the show if you'd like. Also, if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're streaming video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out, and that helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're listening on podcast, please leave a 5-star review if you can. And again, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening, and